Hey everybody, welcome to Photography Schoolhouse. I'm Kerry Allen, and today I want to talk about shooting and designing a model's portfolio complete with motion. I'm going to get into that in some detail shortly, but before we do, I think we should review what it is a model really needs in today's digital age. Well, in order to define that, we have to realize that modeling has segmented into really two different areas. The higher end professional models represented by major agencies and more local models who are available for photographers and smaller local assignments and aren't usually represented by an agency. And this has become, in the last 10 years, a very vibrant and growing area. So just about every community has models of this sort. Now, at the professional end, what do they need? In years gone by, they've always had comp cards, they've had their book or their portfolio, and usually some web representation in the last 20 years from the agency itself. So what of that is still in use? Well, let's take a look. I did a Google search on comp cards, and yes, at the high end, comp cards are still very much in use. Here's a pretty good example, just the very first one I clicked on. Now, this is a front and back. The front would be the single image, the back would be the multiple images. The size of the card, the layout of the card, color, black and white, all of that is, totally open. Everything. An agency may want to have a standard format, but really there's no industry standard as for what this is. But it is a physical printed card. These are mailed out to prospective clients. And of course, to a large degree, the internet has reduced the need for hard copy portfolios, but I'd be willing to bet that just about every one of these models has a hard copy portfolio, as well as a strong online presence through their agency and whatnot. So yes, comp cards are still in use. And how does that affect the local model? Well, every local model gets in with the idea of becoming a major model. So they may want access to comp cards and things of this nature to help elevate themselves to that level. Now, they're building their portfolios too, local models I'm talking about, but they're very rarely hard copy anymore. It's almost entirely social marketing or online. Some of them will have websites, but 99% I'm thinking is in the just social, Facebook, Instagram, everything else kind of genre. So what can help them stand apart from every other model in their city or in their town even, is doing something with motion. Seeing how it's going to be on the internet anyways, why not take it up a level? So that's what we want to talk about today. I'll just flip around a couple of different comp cards here. So like I said, the design is fairly open. So offering this service to local models, I think, becomes a valuable thing. And well, actually, before I take that away, let's take another look at how these comp cards are structured. Mostly, this looks like a local one. So she's got shots from different shoots, very rarely all in one shoot, although these two images quite possibly were the same shoot. And this is really the idea of a comp card, is to show the different abilities the model has. If she has a glamour look, a sports look, a fashion look, bikini, whatever it is that she specializes in, it should be represented by her comp card. So don't think you want to go out and do a single shoot and compile a comp card as a result of this. It may not be the result, probably isn't the result of one shoot, and may not even be the result of a single photographer. But while that's true at the high end, we're not really going to worry about that. We want to be able to give her a comp card from the work that we did. So, okay, variety is the spice of life. So what I've done is I've accumulated some different shots of a model that's worked with us a lot called Alana. And I've gone back over the years. Alana has probably worked with us, I couldn't count, 20 times, maybe even more. We did a big Phoenix workshop a couple of years ago. She was our prime model for that workshop. So I have a lot of content that I can draw from. This, for instance, I'm just going to drag this into position, is all stuff up here, all stuff from the Phoenix workshop, where we were over several days at numerous locations. So it gives us a lot of potential for some comp card material. And then this is more from a shoot that we did, all one shoot, where we actually shot some of the motion. So I'm going to get into all of that pretty much right now. So one of the things that I do is I create a template. Here's one that I've already done, and this is just a mock-up that I did. I invented a phony agency, Southwest Model Search. Doesn't exist, just a mock-up. And there's a front and back of a really simple comp cards. You'd probably add a company logo, agency logo, and contact information on the front, models, particulars on the back. So how do I create a template like this? Let's do one real quick. So I'm going to create a new document in Photoshop. And I'm going to make it 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches at 300. So half of a sheet of paper. So I can print them on one sheet, cut them in half, and I'm good. So let's do that. Now what I'd probably want to do is design the front of the card first. So we'll just say the model. Of course, I got to change it from white to black and give it some serious size. And I'm not going to be too fussy about lineups and everything else. So I've defined the front. This would be the agency's logo and contact information. Now all I need to do really is define an area where I want the front picture to go. And I'm using Photoshop CC 2015.5. So it helps me. I think this was true in 2015 as well. It really helps with the alignment of boxes and graphics on an area. So okay, now I've got this area selected. I want to go back to the background, and you see the layers tablet on the right, and I'm going to just do a Control or Command J to duplicate the layer. Then Command or Control click on the layer to get this, the marching ants that defines where the layer is. Then I'm going to Control J again, and I'm going to Control click to select the area on the third layer. I can turn this top and these text messages off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here to the second layer, which is selected. You see the marching ants, and I'm going to go and give it a stroke. 1 pixel black stroke. And then I'm going to give it a layer style, a drop shadow. And I'm going to go with distance 25, spread 25, size 25. This is, to taste, just to add a little definition. I'm going to change the angle a little bit. Doesn't have to be overpowering. Drop shadows, it's a design school. It might be a little bit old school. The flat design is very popular today, but it's your choice. Design what you want. So I'm going to do that. So there we have our stroke and drop shadow. I want to turn that layer off, go up to the second duplicate layer. I want to fill this area now with black, which is Alt backspace. Turn that back on, so now you can see where we have our drop shadow. And right now, that's all I want. I'll turn the title. So that's the front of my card. This is in template fashion. So let me just go here, and I'll pick an image. That I like. And sorry, it's in the other monitor, so you're not seeing it right now, but here we go. We're going to pick this image. Now this is totally unretouched from the shoot. And because we were doing fusion in this shoot, the color balance isn't quite right. So filter that I use called PictoColor, I correct. I'm going to set a black point and a white point. Looks a little dull. I'm going to increase the exposure, and I'm going to select skin tones, do a skin tone correction. Very simple. Now, I'm also going to do a very fast and simple skin softening with the portraiture plugin. These are just the products I use. I'm not on a retainer. I don't get paid. I don't get free software. This is just what I happen to use, so I'm not plugging anybody. There are other different types of portrait plugins. Now, what I like about this one, excuse me, I'm going to go into the eraser tool. I've selected the softening layer that came, and it's going to look funky for a little bit. I'm going to essentially just erase the softening around her eyes, her lips. This will look better in a second. And her hair. I don't like matted looking hair. Even her jacket could be better than that. So I'm just erasing the softening layer. So let's see what I have left when I turn the background layer back on. Beautifully sharp lips, eyes, hair, jacket, but her face is beautifully softened. I'll just click it on and off a couple times. So all good. I'm going to flatten that. Now I may go on if there were blemishes. Her skin is practically perfect, but you know, I'd maybe touch up some stray hairs, but I don't want to take the time to do that right now. That's not the point of this demo. So what I am going to do, however, is I'm going to maybe change the size a little bit now that I flattened it, because this was a raw image, so it's going to be pretty big. I'm going to do it at 300 DPI, 5 point, and let's just make it a 5 by 7.5. Okay, so there we go. There's our image. Now I'm going to select this image and copy it into the clipboard. Then I'm going to go back to my sample template here and hit Control and click on the black area, and on the layers palette that'll tell you which layer is now active, which is pretty obvious, but it won't be obvious in the next step. Now I hold Control or Command click to get the marching ends. Now I'm a Windows user, so in Windows, to paste the image that's in the clipboard into that black area without overlapping, without spilling outside of the target area, is Control, Shift, Alt, V. Try and do that with one hand. Now, I have no doubt that there is a Mac equivalent, and I apologize that I don't know what that is. But notice how I can move this image anywhere around, and it never, ever goes outside the containment area. So how easy is that? So why I said clicking on the black is important, because on the reverse side, I have a lot of black layers. So again, Control or Command, click the one you want. That highlights the layer. Then click, Control, click the layer. And then I'd be a different image, of course, but just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to, put that in there. Now, it's too big. Control T will allow me to resize the image, and still it stays bound within the appropriate area. So I wouldn't have used the same image as the front. I was just taking the quick and easy way. Let's just try and take a different image. I want another vertical in this case. So there's another image showing a different style. So this one's already retouched. So I think 4x6, that'll do. So Control A, Control Command C to copy it, go back here to our template, select another black layer, click on it, and make it fit. So I'd keep on adding images and build up our entire comp card. And when I'm doing it from a template, it is so fast and so easy. And so many photographers in your local community who are not doing this. So it gives you an opportunity to book models and to offer products that the competition isn't. So that's a comp card. Now, again, I can't emphasize enough of having good variety. It's useless for her or him to spend money on a comp card that's all of the same thing or all the same pose. I really encourage you to do this over several shoots. And in my case, you can see Alana actually, this is a real problem. She changed her hair color. We started as a blonde, and by the time we got to this shoot, she had changed. So her comp card also should represent what she looks like now. Now she's had black hair for a while now, and but that's something, don't slip up with something like this. These were just the random images I grabbed to illustrate how a comp card is done. So with that being said, let's go on to the next step, which is we shot some motion in the studio, and I think I have, let me just find the images. And I thought I had this all queued up. If I did, I must have closed it by accident, but that's all right. Here I am. I'm going to bring this window in. So this was the shoot. We actually did two models the same day, so it's kind of mixed in. So these were the raw images that we took. We did her in a couple of different outfits, a couple of different backgrounds, and then also with the other model. The problem with shooting stills and shooting video is you're dealing with two totally different looks to the lighting. Now, if I do this one down here, you can see these are Electron flash units. And in behind these soft boxes and the one over to the far right are actually video lights. And you can't see it with the naked eye, but the difference in intensity between the burst of flash and the video lights is incredible. So what you really have to do here is set your camera up, and most professional cameras have something along these lines. This happens to be a Canon 5D Mark II at the time that we did that shoot. And you see these C1, C2, C3. These are custom settings. So for this shoot, all I had to do is put program C1 with all of the camera settings I want for a electronic flash photo. So the aperture, the color balance, the shutter speed, everything in the camera is programmed into C1. And then for C2, I programmed all of the settings I wanted for the video lights, substantially different color balance, different pretty much everything. And I could just flip back and forth between C1 and C2, and that's all I have ever done. I have a C3, but I've never actually used it. Now, if your particular camera doesn't have that, that's no big deal. Don't worry about that. Set your camera up for stills, shoot all of your flash, then set your camera up for video and do all of your movies. Really not a big deal. It's just a convenience if you have it. And there's just a couple of shots. So this was the video section. We had 3 video lights, here, and a back kicker. And we also had a fan to blow her hair. I'm a big fan of this fan. It's Stanley fan. I've got 2 of them, and they're cheap. They're like $50 at Lowe's or Home Depot or something like that. And with this focus, it really allows you to aim where the wind is blowing. If you've ever tried just a regular circular fan, you know how tough that really is. So, okay, that was the setup for the shoot. And then you saw the stills, and here are the little motion segments that we picked. Now, with motion, for what we're doing, basically a motion comp card, we don't want to worry about long 30-second clips. In fact, somewhere around 3 seconds, 5, 7 seconds, probably, pretty much max. So let's take a look at this one and see if I like it or not. Now, the orientation is wrong, but don't let that bother you.
Video, right, yeah. Have some fun with it now. It's live action. We really see the hair blowing.
So we're not worried about the audio because we're not going to use the audio.
Little video, yeah.
But there it is
at
full speed.
Live action. We really see the
I'm
hair
coaching
blowing.
her to smile and move around because models are used to just staying still. So I'm going to use that clip. That was 7363. I'm going to go ahead and bring that clip into Photoshop. It's importing. And there we go. Now, Photoshop for the last few versions has had the ability to edit video. It's pretty cool. It's the timeline window that you want to use. You see it down here at the bottom of my screen. And here's the clip. Let's play it.
Now it's live action. We really see the hair blowing.
Full speed, which I think in this case was 30 frames a second. What I do today, this was done a little while ago, what I'm doing today is I'm actually shooting it at 60 frames per second. Most of the newer cameras offer that support. So it's still high definition, 1920 by 1080, but 60 frames per second. So now, don't worry about the orientation. We're going to fix that in a minute. What I do want to do, though, is slow this down, make some slow motion. So I right-click on the timeline, and you see that it's 6.5 seconds in length. Let's say I'm okay with that. Only I'm going to reduce the speed to 50%, and I'm going to take a look and see if I like that. We're close to 50%. So let's look at it now. So we get the nice slow motion, the glances, the gentle motion of her hair. It all looks good. What happens if I slow it down even more? Let's take it right down to 25%. And see if I like that. Really slow. A little slow blink, the glance into the camera, the smile coming up. Okay, let's say that I like that, and I kind of do. So now I've got to fix the orientation. And it's just like doing a still photo. I just go to Image, Rotation, 90 degrees counterclockwise. It's going to convert it to a smart object. I'm going to scale it down so we can see what's going on. And I'm going to play it. Okay, one other thing I want to do, I'm going to click this. If you didn't see that, way down in the bottom left-hand corner, this little arrow will bring up this render video window. I used a frame rate of 30 per second. What if I drop that? Actually, I think I'm going to leave it at 30, but you could change the frame rate here. It's 1920 by 1080. It's high quality. I'm going to save it to my desktop, so I'm going to say go ahead and render that. And shouldn't take very long because it's a pretty small clip. Now, you don't have to use Photoshop for any of this. Photoshop has these tools now. It didn't used to. If you're familiar with other video editing software, you could do exactly the same thing. So if you don't have Photoshop, you don't have to run out and get it just for this. In fact, I shot this on my DSLR. I could just as easily have shot it on a camcorder of some sort. It's just more convenient. Well, you know, you've got the camera in your hand, just switch back and forth between still and video. Okay, so now what? We've got our comp card. We've got I just have to open up another window that I thought I had open but must have closed at some point. So Animoto is the site that I love. As a still photographer, I've been using this for years. Many of you probably are as well. I'm not paid by Animoto again, but it's just, for me, it's been the awesome thing. And this was one I kind of worked on already. I'm just going to go back in and continue editing. So all it is, and I'm not here to do training on Animoto, but these are the still images that I uploaded. There's a couple of video clips you can see. But the difference with this video clip is that, I'm going to take this one out. These were done at full speed. I want to add the slow-mo stuff that I just built in. And I should be able to just drop it right there. There it's uploading. I may not want it in that location. So I'm going to bring it up here somewhere near the beginning. So I'm not going to fiddle with this too much. I'm going to try and preview it while we're on screen. So hang tough. It's going to take about 15 seconds. There was one of the old videos came first. And there's the slow-mo one that we just produced in Photoshop. So I'm going to go back to editing because producing it takes too long right now, but you get the idea. We could produce this Animoto slideshow. I did all one shoot. Again, I wouldn't have done that. I would have done a slideshow from multiple shoots. And I'd mix in these slow-mo segments, and then I would go ahead and produce the video, downloadable video, 1080p, and make that part of my products that are for sale. So she could upload that to Facebook and amaze her friends and other photographers in her community and get more work. So this is happening more and more. In fact, just yesterday I had a call from an actress who wanted a headshot, and she specifically stated she wanted what is now being, in the acting world, is now being called a slate video for their websites and whatnot. So this is happening. It's been happening for a long time. Like I said, we started doing this 5 years ago, so this certainly isn't something new. But just keeping you up to date on what we're doing with models portfolios. Hope that works for you. Thank you for joining us today. Come back, like us, like every YouTube video. Like us, subscribe to our channel. We'll keep more and more information coming as it goes. Thanks very much. Have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye.